Welcome. This is Tab the Legend. Today, we're going to be talking about a build for Karlach, one of the best companions you can meet in Baldur's Gate. So we're going to talk about a couple different builds and things that we can do with Karlach. The first build we want to go over today, this is the focus of this video, is a build that kind of taps into her Barbarian nature at first. And we're going to complement it a little bit with a little Paladin flavor. All right? But to get things started, let's go ahead and put her in her prime as a Barbarian. And as a Barbarian 1, you get your Rage. It's a limited amount of times per day. Are the ability points that she starts with, and that's you can keep them as they are. I would like to offload a few points into Charisma at level 2. We are going to take a little detour for Barbarian, just a tad. And we're going to pick up a level of Paladin. It's going to give us a little bit of healing. Something that will help out immensely during your rage, which, by the way, you can use during your rage. That's going to assist you. Just as long as you keep attacking something or taking damage, then your rage stays. Now, as far as your Oath choice, you can pick your favorites. I have enjoyed Oath of the Ancients for the Healing Radiance bonus action. That's been extremely helpful for me and my party as far as support goes. Next one up, we're going to continue on with Paladin for a little while. Now, we are building this character with great weapon fighting in mind. Paladin level 3. We have a way to be immune to disease. That's fantastic. We have a way to turn fiends and fae, which is great because there are plenty of those in the game. You can restrain an enemy. That is also fantastic. And of course, it gives you the ability to speak the animals, and which is great for lore in the game and role-playing, and you'll meet tons of creatures to speak with in the game. You can solve many puzzles just by doing that, so this is a fantastic spell to get for free. And of course, Ensnaring Strike, it gets you the ability to ensnare someone from a distance. That would be pretty good. Pretty good. Now again, we're going to skip over the spells for right now, and we'll go back to them at the end. All right, level 5, we're going to continue on with Paladin, although do note that if you're leveling for the first time, there's nothing wrong with doing a quick respec at 5 to take 5 levels of Paladin or 5 levels of Barbarian for Karlach. That way you get to enjoy extra attack at that level. It is very strong, and skipping it is not really advised, but you can level up relatively quickly in the game, so if that's not something that you feel is imperative, we can continue on. But I think we would benefit greatly from Great Weapon Master, right here. We can deal an additional 10 damage at the cost of -5 to our attack rolls, and we can toggle it on and off, so if you feel like you're missing a lot, you can turn it off until you're ready. And that's going to allow us to do more things with our bonus action, because when we land a crit or kill a target with a melee attack, we can then make another melee attack as a bonus action. So that's how we're going to weaponize some of our bonus actions with this character. We are now at character level 6. We are going to stick with Paladin for another level. We do get our extra attack and a bunch of spells and some spell slots so that you can smite with even more things. You do get your Oath spells, which Misty Step is a rather nice one to get you into range, and Moonbeam for when rage is not the best use of your resources. You can concentrate on this instead. Gives you a little bit of flexibility, especially if there's a lot of small creatures in an AoE. You might be able to make good use of that. Level 6. And this is partly why we took that 16 in Charisma early on, is so this gets a bonus of not +1, but instead it gets a bonus of +3. So let's go ahead and pick it up now. And with this, we're actually going to get Danger Sense, which is a fantastic way to avoid traps and spells and surfaces, of which there are plenty in the game. But what we're here for is the Reckless Attack. So until your next turn, you have an advantage on attack rolls, but enemies have an advantage on attacks against you. But luckily for you, you've got a lot of hit points. You're going to be very tanky, and you're going to be able to take those hits. And this is really what's going to fuel our ability to crit with smites as much as possible. The more attacks we do, this is going to offset also the penalty from Great Weapon Master, -5 on attack rolls, because you essentially have advantage in 2 dice rolls every attack. So one of them is bound to hit, and it's going to hit hard. Now, at this level, level 9, we're actually going to go back to Paladin. We're going to pick up this Aura of Warding, half damage from spells. It is ridiculously good, especially if you are surprised in combat, so I definitely recommend doing that, and this is a permanent. Once this is on, it is permanent, so you just need to be within 3 meters of Karlach to get this effect. If you have a melee-oriented party, or at least one other melee striker or tank that is playing alongside her, then you would really make good use of that. And of course, as your party is traveling together, if you get ambushed, this is also going to help out. Character level 10. We have a couple of options for how we want to progress our character. At this level, I actually recommend going back to Barbarian for a few reasons. One, you get an additional rage charge. That way you don't need to long rest as often. Wild magic has actually been... I think people are sleeping on wild magic. Because when you rage, you have one of, I believe it's somewhere in the 8 to 10 random rolls on the table that give you some interesting abilities. Things like teleport as a bonus action, which you can do while you're raging. Make difficult terrain on the ground. Do AoE damage to everyone around you. Give a bonus to AC to every ally around you. There's a lot of things that this class can do, and I actually like the little bit of randomness flavor. Character level 11, we're nearing the end. There are a couple of options for where you want to go. It is not worth it to go further into Barbarian. We will be happy with our 3 rages per long rest and make use of them. We will go back into Paladin to do the rest of the prep. Now, in here, there are a couple of things that you can consider. We have Great Weapon Fighter. You could pick up Pole Arm Master, but I feel like your bonus actions are already spoken for. Instead, either pick your favorite, or you can always just go with an ability score increase. And for us, it's going to be strength. We'll bump it to 18. I will tell you that there is an item in the game that lets you pump this to ungodly levels. So what you could actually do is pump your charisma to 18 instead, keep your strength at 16, and either use potions to pump your strength until you find this item in Act 3, or you can put the points into strength now and then respec this character later on and do that same trick. But I'm going to go ahead and assume we've already found this item at level 11. It's not far-fetched. You would be in Act 3 at this time, and I found it soon after. So this is one way to go. And again, adjust to your needs. Lastly, we are going to finish up this build with a Paladin level 9. We get a level 3 spell slot, which is fantastic. That's going to help with smites. We do get some spells that are worthwhile, and we'll go over them in just a moment. And that really finishes out the leveling process of the build. So let's take a look at some of the spells that we get. Talk about them real brief. Now, as far as... I'll undo all of them so we can make our picks from scratch. So let's start with the level 1 spells. As you're leveling, your wounds when you pick up your Paladin level is going to be clutch, so picking it up is great. You'll be able to heal your allies, and you do have that extra healing ability from your Paladin Oath to use in tandem with this, which is great. Bless is always good, although remember you're going to be a raging Paladin, so you're not going to be able to concentrate on a lot of spells, so I'm going to lean away from spells that require concentration. Spells like Command are actually rather good. You can make someone, let's say, drop their weapon, or fall prone. Of course, they have to make a wisdom save against your Paladin spellcasting modifier of 16, 18 now. So not a 16 TC is not nothing, but it is early on in the game. It's going to be a little rough, let's say. But if you do make it, you can do some ridiculously awesome things like having a big enemy drop their weapon and pick it up from them and start using it right away. Yeah, this is fantastic. A few other things to consider. Thunderous Smite is not bad as a bonus action because you could possibly knock someone prone early on before we have our Barbarian Reckless Attack. This might be a good way to go. Some of these other spells are concentration, and like I said, I don't necessarily want to go in that route for concentration. if this is going to be our frontliner character. So early on, you can pick up things like Thunderous Smite to use your spell slots, Command, Cure Wounds, but for the most part, your spells are spoken for with Smites. So Smites are going to take up most of your spells. At level 2 spells, Aid is a really great spell because it lets you heal your allies in a radius. Not only that, but this gives them additional hit points to their maximum. And this is fantastic because this can also bring back allies that have fallen in battle, that are making their death saves. You can bring them back up with this and an AoE heal, which is fantastic. Yes, you can also throw a potion, but this is the other way to go. Restoration has not been particularly useful, but there are some parts of the game where paralysis and blindness can really affect you. Poison as well, so that's not a bad pick as you're leveling up. Again, these will be very situational, and the majority of the time you'll use the spell slots for smiting. Level 3 spells, you actually have a few to choose from, and again, you kind of pick the ones that you will use as you go. So the Warden of Vitality is actually really nice because this has no concentration aspect, and while this aura lasts, you can cast Restore Vitality, right, as a bonus action to heal yourself or a nearby ally. And remember, since we are raging, these hit points could be used to heal yourself as you're attacking to keep yourself up longer in a fight. Revivify is not a bad pick, but there are scrolls that do the same thing, and so this is rather pointless. Daylight has had some situational use from my playthrough, as was Remove Curse. And as you can see, we're kind of filling up our spell slots with everything at this point because, well, we have them for picks. We might as well. And again, you're going to be using your spell slots for smiting.